a Dire Tubin Cyclones fan, and this Cyclones running back was snubbed of a Heisman. My name is AJ Caldwell. Welcome back to Cyclone Kingdom. The top 5 list roll on in Iowa State football history with the top 5 running backs of all time in Cyclone football program history. We've had a lot of fun with this. Check out Cyclone Central, the exclusive Iowa State podcast that we just started over with Top Tier Iowa State, where we talk more about this and give our takes about it. But this has been a lot of fun to make these lists. Make sure to like and subscribe for all things Chiefs and Cyclones. And we are having a blast. When it talks about top 5 running backs, when you talk about these guys, who comes to mind? Right? We think about the number 1 and number 2 guys that I'm going to mention in a little bit. But what about 3 through 5? Who do you have on that list in the history of Iowa State football? Right? In program history, who are guys where it's like that guy was otherworldly in his ability? He was a guy that put Cyclone football on the map, and who is a guy maybe that was snubbed of a Heisman besides the guy that we're all thinking of, right? So that's what we're thinking about when we make these top 5 lists is the talent, the success, not necessarily the team success, because running back's a little bit different than quarterback. QB wins are a stat, I believe. QB wins are important in those discussions. But running back and their stats mixed with their talent is the most important thing when we talk about top 5 guys. Now, number 5 on the list might ruffle some feathers already. We might be getting controversial already because he's a more recent running back. But I believe, and he's in my lifetime, so these other guys may have not been in my lifetime, but this guy not only was tougher than nails, he might be in Cyclone football history the most difficult to tackle. Like, the guy that broke as many tackles as anybody in college football history. Like, forget Iowa State. Because number 5 on the list is David Montgomery. It's David Montgomery. Like, he broke tackle after tackle after tackle. I think about the game against Iowa. Yes, we lost that game. Where he ran over 3 dudes, ran through another 2, and scored a touchdown. Like, it's one of the coolest highlights in Cyclone football lore. And we don't show it a lot because Iowa beat us in that game again. 3-game win streak right away going on. But we moved past that, right? We moved past what Dave Montgomery did just against Iowa, and we look at what else he did during his time at Iowa State. I mean, he was part of the resurgence of the Cyclone football program, right? He was part of the Kyle Kemp 2017 year where Matt Campbell and Kyle Kemp and the boys put Cyclone football back on the map for the first time since Seneca Wallace. And then Brock Purdy having Dave Montgomery for a year or 2, right? This was the type of guy that he was. He was part of bringing the culture, the 5-star culture, back to Ames, Iowa, and creating a program and a culture that was fun to be a part of and created highlight after highlight after highlight before he went to the NFL. Guys, Dave Montgomery, this isn't a top 5 Iowa State NFL running backs, but this is part of it. Since he's come to the NFL, he is a bona fide, awesome superstar. Now, he's not to the level of where Jahmyr Gibbs was. He's not to the level of where Joe Mixon is, right? He wasn't to the level of these guys, but he was reliable, consistent, like all of these things. He did all those things and more in the NFL because of who built him at Iowa State. Dave Montgomery deserves more love. He's number 5 on the list. Number 4. I want to quote Shaquille O'Neal. I apologize. I was not familiar with your game, Dwayne Crutchfield. Holy cow. Have you seen the stats on this guy? I don't even remember if it was the 70s or the 80s when I was looking up the stats of when this guy played. He played for 2 years. And so you're like, just 2 years at Iowa State. What could you possibly do? Buckle up. Multiple, back-to-back, 1,000-yard seasons. Double-digit rushing touchdowns in an era where they knew you were running the football. How good do you have to be to do that back-to-back years in a Big 8 with Oklahoma and Nebraska? Dwayne Crutchfield, my fault, bro. My fault. When we did this whole thing on X where we did top 5 this, top 5 that in Iowa State football history, I didn't even think about Dwayne Crutchfield. I was looking it up, top running backs, top stats, all this different stuff. And I had reply after reply after reply of Cyclone fans saying, put some respect on this man's name. And I will. And I have. Because Dwayne Crutchfield was unbelievable. I want to find some highlights of Dwayne Crutchfield. If you got highlights of Dwayne Crutchfield, send them my way to Cyclone Kingdom. Because this guy, I'm telling you, just from stats alone and even seeing pictures of him, it's like, yep, that dude's a gamer. That dude's a baller. I don't need to know anything else. I've seen enough. But I got to see some highlights of Dwayne Crutchfield, man, because I don't even have words because I don't even know what I would say without watching him, because the stats speak for themselves. That's on me, Dwayne. I was not familiar with your game, but I am now. Dwayne Crutchfield, number 4. Number 3, early, late 2000s, late 90s actually, Darren Davis. Darren Davis, 3 straight years. I raised you Dwayne Crutchfield's 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and I raised you Darren Davis. Multiple back-to-back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. In the late 90s, literally right before Troy Davis. Right before the guy that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. Spoiler alert. Darren Davis did his thing, man. That guy did his thing. He made everyone realize when Troy Davis came into the building, he's a lot better than Darren Davis, because Darren Davis raised the standard. He raised the standard of Cyclone football and Cyclone running backs. Similar to Dwayne Crutchfield. If you got Darren Davis highlights, send them my way, bro. Like, I need to see some of these guys based on the stats and the pictures that I've seen of what these guys did in a Cyclone uniform. Holy cow. Holy cow. Darren Davis, respect on his name. He was part of an era of Cyclone football that when Troy Davis came in the building and Seneca Walls came in the building, it was like, okay, we back in discussion now. We back in discussion to the point where we're playing Florida State on national television to kick off the college football season at Arrowhead Stadium. That's to the point that Cyclone football got to because of these types of dudes. Darren Davis, shout out to you. Shout out to your production. Shout out for you wearing a Cyclone uniform all 4 years and for 3 years doing work, bro. Shout out Darren Davis. Number 2, so badly want to put him number 1, but I can't because of the guy that we're all talking about. I already talked about a little bit with Troy Davis. Number 2 on the list, rocking the shirt today, Breece Hall. What can you say about a guy that changed my life as a sports fan, that changed my life as a Cyclone fan, from basically being born in a Cyclone onesie, baby pictures of me rocking Cyclone gear, to now being a grown man who's married and passing on the Cyclone love to my wife and my family? Breece Hall was a part of that. Breece Hall helped being a Cyclone fan be enjoyable and fun and exciting to watch. It was, I don't have words for Breece Hall, man. Like, the way this guy changed the perspective of Cyclone fans, of people in the state of Iowa, and the way they watch sports and the way they watch college football, to this day. Breece Hall has the single season record for most touchdowns scored in consecutive games at 23. 23 straight games with a rushing touchdown. How crazy is that? In college football history, how good do you have to have 23 straight games of rushing touchdowns? Breece Hall was just that good. And he's proved it since he's gone to the NFL and got an extension with the New York Jets. New York Jets, please give him a quarterback. Please give him a quarterback, man. I'm sick and tired of seeing people's careers wasted on the Jets, especially when I love them like I do with Breece Hall. I appreciate everything he did for Cyclone Nation. I appreciate the tweets he put out after the Fiesta Bowl when we beat Oregon and monkey stomped Oregon, and the tweet that he put out of saying, "This is why I came to Iowa State." That was a powerful moment, man. That meant something to me and the rest of Cyclone Nation because of where we had come from. Because of the depths we had come from, with all due respect, in the Paul Rhodes era. And going 4-8 and 3-9 and having to be one of the best seasons of all time when we were 6-6, to now being, with Jimmy Rogers, the expectation in 3 to 5 years is to compete for a Big 12 championship because of what Matt Campbell created with guys like Breece Hall. Grew up in Kansas, where I live, which is awesome. And didn't go to Kansas, didn't go to Kansas State, didn't go to the border of Nebraska, came to Iowa State University and balled out. And if not for number one, he's the best Cyclone running back ever. If not for the guy who was snubbed of a Heisman, he's number one on the list because he did that much for the Cyclone football program and continues to do so to this day. As great as he is, and I love me some Breece Hall, he's not Troy Davis. He is not Troy Davis, man. Troy Davis was snubbed of a Heisman. If you look at that year, and you look at the other quarterbacks, to this day, if I were to look it up, I would have to remind myself who won the Heisman that year. That's how forgettable the other Heisman finalists were compared to Troy Davis' 2,000 plus yard season. 2,000 yards plus. Now, I know the Heisman Award is you have to have a successful team, and Iowa State wasn't very good that year. But baloney, man. Johnny Manziel, I was just watching a documentary on him. Won the Heisman for a Texas A&M team that wasn't even top 15. It wasn't even top 20. Like, they were a team that I think went 8-4 or 9-3. So I don't want to hear that you have to be successful. No, Iowa State wasn't a top 25 team. But Troy Davis had a top 10 season of all time among college football running backs. Tell somebody about it. Say it with your chest. Because that's how good Troy Davis was. And to do it in the shoulder pads that he had, if you see, because I have seen highlights of Troy Davis, man, this dude was wearing shoulder pads where they were like up to his ears, dude. This dude's running around with a boombox on his shoulder. And he's just running through Missouri, running through Oklahoma, running through Nebraska. Like, he was doing his thing in pads that a linebacker or a defensive lineman should have been wearing. I love him. I love what he did for Cyclone Nation. And he didn't even go to the NFL. He went to the CFL. Like, this man has been robbed and snubbed so many times. And I love Troy Davis. I love everything he did for the state of Iowa and for Ames, Iowa. And the man deserves to have a Heisman Trophy hanging on his mantle right now. On his shelf, above his fireplace. Because his season was a top 10 one in college football history as a running back, and you can't convince me otherwise. He was that good. And then the year after, or the year before, I can't even remember, he was even better. But people don't remember that because Iowa State was somehow worse. Like, how... and I love Cyclone football, and I love joking around about how bad we used to be, but how bad did the Cyclones have to be for Troy Davis to have a better year than that Heisman snubbing year? And for Iowa State to be worse. Like, what was our passing game or our quarterback or our defense like? Like, how bad do we have to be? But Troy Davis, number one on the list. And I love Breece Hall, but he is not Troy Davis. Troy Davis will go down as a top 5 Cyclone athlete of all time because of what he did for the state of Iowa and for Iowa State University. So leave your comments down below about who you think was snubbed of the top 5. There's a lot of honorable mentions in there that I could just go on and on and on about. Who do you think is too high, too low on the list? We'll continue to roll out these top 5s. Again, check out Cyclone Central, where we're going to do a deep dive on the top 5 quarterbacks and running backs of all time in Cyclone football history. But until then, as always, roll Clones. And how about those Chiefs?